Hey everyone, welcome to the Guiding You Forward podcast presented by Mountain America, where we talk about all things financial related. And today we're talking about retirement. And thankfully, Stuart Campbell is with us. Hi, Stuart.
Hello.
And Stuart is a certified financial planner. So when it comes to retirement planning, how do I really do this? What do I have to know?
Yeah, so I think everyone, just a reminder, everybody should plan for retirement. We don't want to delay the inevitable. It's gonna come sooner or later to everybody. Sometimes it's forced, sometimes if you plan it, and that's the idea. We want it to be planned for.
Okay.
So if you're younger, start. If you're older, start. That's the message, is you're never too late or never too old to start planning for retirement. So that would probably be the first thing that I would do. The second thing, as a close second to the first point, would be to start saving an emergency fund.
Okay. Even more so than retirement.
Yeah, I would start with an emergency fund first.
Okay.
Because when you get stuck between a rock and a hard spot, you're going to need assets to be, or some money to help you through that period of emergency.
Okay.
So we always recommend at bare minimum 6 months worth of your living expenses. And I know that sounds like a lot. I remember when I first got out of college, I remember looking at what that number was and I said, that seems impossible.
Yeah.
And again, I would just say that it is so important to start out small and be consistent. Again, most importantly is just be consistent and put little by little funds away into a savings account, and it'll happen sooner than you think.
Okay. 6 months set aside.
6 months worth of living expenses.
Okay. So step one, we have that emergency savings. What do I do now?
Then you need to start budgeting and keeping track of your expenses and make sure that savings is a priority. I have often told my clients that I've worked with in the past that it's important that after you get paid every month that you pay all of your bills and your expenses, and savings is included in that, so that at the end, when you're done, you should have zero left. Because everything has been allocated to where it needs to go, expenses and savings. You should have zero left at the end of the month. That is a good steward of funds, in my opinion.
I love that word that you used, a steward of our own money, right?
Yes.
We're telling it where to go versus the other way around, our money
Letting
controlling
it happen
us.
to you.
Okay.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. I love that.
Yep.
And I don't love that because the thought of having $0 left is not fun.
Yeah, and I would say it's a lot of responsibility and accountability to yourself. And another item to consider when you're setting up a budget and directing asset or your funds to all these different places is just being flexible and make adjustments as time goes on. Life happens around us. Sometimes things that we've created, or sometimes just other things that just happen to us. And being flexible, you might have a birth, a death, a marriage, a divorce. You might inherit some funds, or you might have a health issue that might adjust how much you can save for the future. So I think just being flexible as well, and just be as flexible as you can.
Okay. I love that. So I'm saving that 6 months worth in my emergency fund. I'm budgeting, right? Which, that's a topic that often comes up on this podcast is budgeting. Yes. I love that we're saying it often though. Yep. And I'm having $0 left after I plan out my budget for the month.
Good job. That's the way it's supposed to be, right?
Okay. What else? Anything else? Just be flexible.
Just be flexible. I think with budgets, sometimes there are months where maybe money seems tighter sometimes in everyone's family budget. And then there are other months where it's like, oh, we've got extra. And I think just planning for the unexpected that will come up.
Okay. I love that. Okay, Stuart. So let's say I'm in a situation where I have some debt, but I also need to save for retirement, obviously, because we always need to be. Is there one that I should do before the other? Is it the chicken before the egg? Like, what do we do here?
Yes, there is an order. When handling money, there is an order how things should be done. So my recommendation is that you want to make sure that you're getting all of the free money first. So free money meaning your employer is matching your contribution in your retirement account if your employer does that. So it's very, very important to make sure that you don't leave free money on the table first. So I would make sure that I contribute enough to get at least my employer's match.
Okay.
Then any extra funds that I have should be directed towards paying off debt, and making sure that you pay the highest interest rates first, and pay minimums on everything else, and put any extra funds towards the highest interest rate, and then just pay everything off in order of the interest rates.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's going to save us the most money in the long run.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So obviously take advantage of that match, that free money on the table, and then we're going to pay off debt, right?
Exactly.
Like you said. So starting with that highest interest rate, and then once my debt's paid off, I just invest the rest of it? Is that what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
After you take all the funds from that you were paying towards paying off debt, then those should be directed towards increasing your contributions and maxing them out on retirement accounts and IRAs and HSAs.
Okay.
I'd like to say a word about just debt in general. Since we're talking about debt, I had a friend mentor, several years ago, who told me to treat debt like a sharp knife. Yeah. So you take great care when you pull it out. You only use it when you need to, and then quickly put it away so that nobody gets hurt. And I think that's probably the best way to look at debt. Just treat it as you would a sharp knife, and only pull it out when you absolutely need it. And then if you have to pull it out, hurry and pay it off as quick as possible and move on.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. We're treating our debt as a sharp knife. One question I have for you, though, because I feel like there are certain types of debt that we're obviously going to have for longer periods of time. I think of our mortgage, right? Like, it's 30 years. That's a long time. That's when I'm looking at retiring at 62. I mean, I'm not getting a mortgage when I'm 1 year old, right? So anyways, do I try to pay that mortgage down before I start saving for retirement?
Well, it depends. I mean, certainly all debt you want to try and pay off as soon as possible, because the idea is that we can become debt free. When you're looking at like credit scores, and I don't even make too much commentary on credit scores that often, but not every debt is considered the same. There's revolving and non-revolving. So mortgage is considered a non-revolving credit line. It's a one-time disbursement, and it's considered safer because there's a collateral, there's something behind it.
Yeah, there's a home.
Yeah, there's something that if something goes bad, that there's something to pay it off.
Unlike a credit card where, I already ate the food.
Correct. So I definitely would say those revolving credit lines should be prioritized first. But again,
so that's the sharp knife.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's always the sharp knife is always, the sharpest knife is always the highest rate first.
Okay. Good to know.